My name is Jens Peters. I'm Swedish and did the MBA in 2018-19. I came to Cambridge from New York, and I moved to Sweden after. And I actually started my career in London in 2011. So there have been a couple of moves there, and currently I'm actually Montreal based, so I live in Canada. I think it came naturally to me to want to study abroad. I grew up in Sweden, but also in Switzerland. So I was in that international kind of community from a young age. So moving to London when I was 18 for my undergrad was a natural move. Once I started working in an international environment, I think it was always very hard to kind of see the opportunities back home, which I guess would be Sweden. And New York, well, both London and New York were two kind of cities where everyone around you it comes from everywhere, and there's something about that I really loved. The thing with the MBA as well was it's a very similar environment, right? So you have people coming from everywhere, maybe even more international than I had experienced in the insurance industry and in those two cities. So it was very good. And after the MBA, I did move back to Sweden. I tried out Stockholm and felt that I wanted to kind of branch out and go live in a more international environment again. So that kind of qualified, in my mind, the move to Canada and to Montreal. So I went to university at 18 and did my undergrad at Cass Business School in London. It was a 3-year degree in business, and those were kind of three short years. I was relatively young. There was definitely there was a lot of learning that happened from my end. But what I was missing at the time was, the real experience. What is it like applying some of these things that I'm learning to what I do? I started my career at 21 as on the graduate scheme of at the time the company was called Willis. Today it's known as WTW, and realized that I had a lot to learn that I had not learned in school. So I think it was an eye-opener for me in many regards there. And worked, started to kind of build my confidence, worked with clients first in supportive roles with my colleagues, and then eventually built my experience to kind of take lead on some of these account management engagements, which were again with large international companies, a lot of them Nordic. So I did have that kind of connection to the culture and the region, but obviously they operated on a global basis, and so did we in kind of finding them the right risk management and risk transfer solutions. From there, I think I was seeking adventure and new experiences and a maturity, something that I could kind of grow and learn from. So I did do a sabbatical for half a year, where I joined Clipper Around the World, so an amateur yacht race that went around the world with 11 stops. I was there for half of that in 2015-16 with a team called LMX Exchange, and that was a huge personal challenge, but also something I look back on with kind of a great pride. So very different learning experience. But a chance for me to grow into some of the leadership type of roles that I wanted to seek out in my career, but to do it in a very different environment. Working with kind of 20 people in some very tough conditions on the Atlantic Ocean or the in the Southern Ocean is definitely a great experience. But I'm not going to hide the fact that there were tough moments and there were some team challenges that had to be kind of taken on. But we raced against 11 other boats, and I think that was the mission that all of us shared, was we wanted to be the winners of that race, and we wanted to get from A to B as quick as possible. So being second in command there at 25 to the skipper and giving instructions and kind of leading people that had, some of them had spent careers as pilots, kind of flying big aircrafts with 300 people that had, their lives in their hands. And I had to figure out the right way to communicate with those different team members, and how were they going to listen to me, a slightly younger leader, but still someone that the skipper had judged had the sailing experience and kind of the insights to do the right things. It was a little bit hard after that to kind of find my way back and know what would be the right adventure after. But I decided to stay in the same industry, so insurance broking, but moved from London to New York into a new role. So we were setting up a smaller team in the US, focused on alternative risk transfer solutions. So I was the second to join that team, and we kind of grew that out over a couple of years to a team of 6. So a small team within a big company, but I think a lot of what I'd learned while sailing was on display in that team. So we worked hard, we faced some kind of challenges, but what was important was to come together as a team, really. Simultaneously, I thought it was an idea to go back to study, and I'd seen some friends in New York and in London go to do different, to do MBAs at different schools. And then for me, it was, identifying where do I want to go. I'd taken my sabbatical, so I thought a 1-year MBA would be a really nice thing to do. And in parallel to work, I started the application process, which I think is a big piece of your experience of the MBA. It's where your dedication and interest really get tested, I'd say. But I kind of pushed through and persevered in that process, and was very happy to get an offer from Cambridge and to move to the UK again in 2018, 19. So that's kind of the story there. I think they do on the aspect of intensity, and if I look back today, a couple of years after, they are two distinguished events in my memory, right? So I think that's kind of key. I reflect and I think about, okay, how much did I, or the amount that I learned while sailing and facing those challenges, about about sailing, about racing, but also about people, about it was my first leadership experience. And then you do spend kind of more hours awake, more hours focused on the task at hand and the challenge. And that was the same in the MBA. I came in knowing that it would be different to working, and it definitely was. But there's so many people to meet, so many people to learn from, and then at the same time, quite a lot of materials to kind of pick up on. And there's definitely enough to fill your thirst for knowledge. So it's more this, how do you define your interests and where do you want to go after starts to emerge as well. And you very much base that on the electives and what you study, what you read. So those are kind of some similarities. The other aspect is just spending time with people, working in groups to deliver, one aspect to deliver on just getting from point A to B safely with the crew happy and kind of engaged. And then on some of the projects we did during the Cambridge MBA, again, how do we move from A to B? We've never met or worked together in the past, it's us as a team delivering to real clients that have engaged us. So I see there a lot of similar kind of team work, team management, some leadership challenges that were definitely similar. Yeah. So I think what I saw was a lot around the network that they built, and the advice, if it was direct or indirect, that I observed was where you go. It's good for you to have a sense of who are the people that kind of apply. What's the culture, and are there certain industries that network tend to kind of move into or align with, and that's something I saw. In addition, I mean, there was advice on how to treat an MBA and what the combination should be. How does it differ to an undergrad, and what are some of the things you kind of look to pick up. So I listened to a lot of that. My friends, obviously in New York, a lot of the friends had done 2-year MBAs. So for me, it was important to distinguish between the two. And yes, I kind of asked around and interviewed them. And year 1 and year 2 was very, very different for them. And there were some reasons for that. I think the way the 1-year MBA was done, with kind of the summer project and kind of really running for a year and a little more, would give some very similar experiences to that kind of 2-year structure. So that helped me decide on, yes, a 1-year MBA is going to be good. It goes against some of the traditional kind of US MBAs that I've had friends experience, but I'm gonna be able to take a lot of similar kind of learnings out of it. I think looking into the culture is like looking into the culture of a company that you joined or that you work with, and yeah, you get a sense. I did a lot of deep diving into the public marketing material that is available. Is the MBA part of the university? That was very important. And the culture. So Cambridge is worldwide known for what it is as an academic institution, as a university with a deep history and a long history, right? And I think that held true and was reflected in the Judge Business School as well. So that was important. And then in communicating with different people at the business school, I think I got a sense for what are their priorities when they interact with students. How do they interact with potential students and future students, and that way was important, and it has been important for me in the past when I join organizations or when I join teams. I think I personally rely quite heavily on those kind of interactions and how people come across. And for me, I felt like there was an interest in the people that Cambridge or Judge Business School engaged with. They wanted to guide and help you from the first point of contact, which was very important. Kind of this culture of we're here for you, and we bring you in, and that guidance keeps existing throughout our relationship. And then also some pride. So I think the culture of we're a good school. We know that. But we also kind of take pride and market that internationally and to students from around the world, and people that come here will feel that pride, but at the same time contribute to kind of a community that we know is very important. So I think the third piece there is just the community and the feel of kind of we're on a joint mission. And to go back to some of the kind of, we're moving from A to B here as a team, but also for each individual. And I felt that was kind of an important piece of the culture. There is a huge piece on brand, and I think it's an important piece. If I reflect on the careers moves I've made since the MBA, and some of the kind of career promotions that have happened, definitely that the Cambridge brand has played a part in helping me do that. It's given me the confidence to apply for some of these roles with more responsibilities. But I do see and I do enjoy the way that the brand plays a role in how you interact with or how I interact with people. I think it's important to do that with a humbleness from my side. But the brand is recognized, the brand is known. That was the case in Sweden, which was the first place I moved after the MBA. It's definitely the case in Canada, where I live and kind of operate now. And I have a feeling that it's going to be the case in the majority of countries that I will live and kind of work in the future. So it's a great brand, and it's a very, very nice kind of university school to be associated with. But in the end, it's also us, kind of the alumni and the students that have been there, that kind of make up and represent that brand. So that's something I remember as well when I think about the Cambridge brand. It's a reminder of the peers that I was in Cambridge with, and we kind of all carry that brand and represent that brand also. So. So if I think about how it's changed me as a leader, the first thing I think about is maturity. The reality is I've taken larger leadership roles post MBA than I had before. But there's something that kind of, I do think that the roles I've taken on now, had I not done the MBA, I would be less comfortable and confident as a leader. I think a key, and there were some interesting leadership sessions focused on leadership during the MBA that I in the moment said, okay, I don't really know at what point I will apply this, but I've now found myself extremely happy that I listened and paid attention and kind of internalized what was taught, because on a daily basis now I need to apply those things. I've changed as a leader from solving things on the go and by intuition to kind of leading with more of a plan and in a more informed manner. And at the same time, there was an important aspect which is the team and your performance as a leader is a reflection of your team's performance. So kind of having the confidence and being comfortable with the fact that you're there to direct, and that is leadership. So you're there to help people perform at their best. Was very important as a lesson during the MBA, and has been, it's something I've kind of made my leadership style now, and hopefully that's kind of what allows me to be a likable leader and a good leader. The other aspect on leadership, I think I realized, was you go into a role of promoting the skills and the talent of those that work in your team, and also you're a protector for the people in your team. And just being able to kind of formulate that in the way I do today is a reflection of some of the learnings and kind of outcomes of the MBA. I think had you asked me before, it would be a lot harder for me to have kind of a this is my way of leading and this is my thoughts on leadership. So I think someone that has been to the Cambridge or has done the Cambridge MBA, they have a confidence and self-belief. They see kind of achievement and their achievement, and a sense of pride about belonging to Cambridge and being part of kind of the Judge Business School alumni. But also, if you spot them, I think they were humbled by the experience, and they will admit the fact that, we kind of came in with high self-confidence, but realized that, here I am, and I'm going to learn from a lot of others, and a lot of people that have done a lot of great things, and are going on to do some great things. And I think I'd like to kind of push on that. It's someone that is humble, because they gain knowledge academically, but they also gain knowledge about who kind of populates the world that we go out and operate in, and there's some great people there. So kind of making sure you are approachable is very much a way that I would define my peers and the people that I came out from the MBA with in Cambridge.